is Redte gonna kill Warzone? And I didn't really want to answer any of those questions until I got to actually play the game and really immerse into it. And I've played this. I have 50+ wins on this game. I've been playing it for 5 straight days. And I can tell you right now that this game right now, yes, is better than Warzone. Just off rip, I'm going to tell you why it's better than Warzone. This game and the start of this game reminds me of Warzone 1 when it first dropped. And I'm going to say it like this. I think this game is so good at attention to detail. That's what 2019 was. Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone when it first came out, their attention to detail was so good.
Fortnite was free, is free. This game, man, $80 here, $20 there. Here's the deluxe pack. Here's the battle pass. You know, fuck 'em, man. All right, anyway, so let me get that off my chest. Let's be clear. All right, pressure on, yeah, whatever. I mean, you know, now, not being pessimistic, let me be optimistic. Yeah, it puts a little pressure on Call of Duty to do better. And with all that being said, I do want to go on the record and say I thought Black Ops 7 beta was actually pretty fun. I did. I had fun playing the beta. Could I play that every day for 3 weeks? No. Matter of fact, at the end of the beta, I was pretty much tapped out. But I did have fun.
Because RedSec just does Warzone with Battlefield gameplay in tanks. That's really it. Like, I can't find any other big differences. Maybe the ladder. You get to place a ladder down in RedSec if you play Assault or something, or like the artillery strikes. But even then, there's comparable things in Warzone. It's just very, 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 very similar. So there's nothing crazy about RedSec. It's just been there, done that, standard battle royale. And if you're someone that likes battle royales, you'll probably have fun with it if you already like Battlefield 6 gameplay.
Something feels off. Usually, the week before a new Call of Duty drops is chaos. Countdown tweets, streamer reveals, trailers dissected frame by frame. But this time, silence. No trending hashtags, no pre-launch hype trains, just a quiet scroll through a feed that used to explode. So, what happened? How did one of gaming's loudest franchises suddenly lose its voice? Because here's the truth. It's not one simple reason. It's timing, wording, and a community that's been burned too many times to care the same way. Stick around, because the silence surrounding Black Ops 7 might actually say more about us than it does about Activision. But to understand that, we have to start with the numbers, and they tell an ugly story. Pull up Google Trends and you'll see something wild. During Black Ops 6's launch week, interest levels spiked like a heart monitor. Now, look at Black Ops 7. The line barely moves. Searches, YouTube views, Reddit posts, even Discord chatter, all down. And if you talk to longtime players, they'll tell you the same thing. It just doesn't feel like launch season. Why? Timing. Because while COD fans were waiting for that next marketing blast, Battlefield 6 quietly stole the spotlight. EA dropped its open beta in late October, and it exploded. Over 500,000 players on Steam alone, huge Twitch numbers, creators flooding their feeds with new footage. Suddenly, every conversation shifted. COD wasn't trending, Battlefield was. And yet, even if you remove Battlefield from the equation, Black Ops 7 still feels flat. No mystery, no anticipation, just cautious curiosity. That's not because the game looks bad. It's because the audience has learned not to fall for fireworks. But what really triggered the downturn wasn't the gameplay. It was one tiny phrase that got everyone arguing. It appeared in a blog post. One single line that changed everything. Open matchmaking with minimal skill consideration will be the default for multiplayer. 5 words. Minimal skill consideration for matchmaking. And that's when chaos broke out. To anyone outside the COD community, it sounds small, but inside, those words are nuclear. Because for years, skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM, has been the most hated acronym in COD history. Players have begged for looser lobbies, for a return to that unpredictable mix of casuals and sweats that made early CODs feel alive. So, when Treyarch said minimal skill consideration, fans heard they finally did it. Except, they didn't. Minimal doesn't mean none. It just means the algorithm weighs skill less often. But in headline form, that subtle difference vanished. Suddenly, YouTubers, news accounts, and even major influencers started tweeting things like SBMM removed from Black Ops 7. Screenshots spread, cropped, reposted, and within hours, the internet decided the impossible had happened. Activision had deleted SBMM, except they hadn't. By the time the official clarification dropped, the rumor was already viral. And that's where the confusion turned into something deeper. Distrust. Here's the thing. Call of Duty has a history of saying one thing and meaning another. Fans still remember no microtransactions at launch. right before the store opened a few weeks later, or the promise of free content for everyone that quietly evolved into battle passes and bundles. So, when Treyarch used the word minimal, everyone's first thought wasn't excitement, it was suspicion. Was this a genuine change, or just another word game? The same went for the persistent lobbies announcement. Activision said players would stay together more often between matches, not always, but the community latched onto the wrong word again, believing non-disbanding lobbies were guaranteed. That misunderstanding became fuel for more outrage posts and clickbait threads. But honestly, that outrage wasn't about one mechanic. It was about trust. After years of half-truths and marketing spin, fans started assuming the worst, and that's deadly for hype. Because when players expect disappointment, even good news sounds suspicious. So, while Black Ops 7 promised fixes, better servers, reduced SBMM, fewer lobby resets, the reaction wasn't cheers. It was, we'll see. And when that's the mood going into launch week, you've already lost the spark. But this wasn't just a PR issue, there was something much bigger draining the life out of the franchise.
So I never liked having MW2 guns in there, MW3 guns, because think about it. Think about this. They spend time and money on those resources to adapt those guns to the next game when you can simply just put that effort into something else. How do you balance 400 guns? That makes my head hurt. You have 400 guns in Warzone, but there's only 2 good ones. You have 400 guns in Warzone, but you have 2 good ones that are meta. It just doesn't make any sense. What I think hurt them the most also was they would bring something in one year and then take it away and then bring it back the next year as a DLC. They got to stop doing it. Honestly, it's just one of those things where it just, like I said, this game feels refreshing. Everyone's asked me, is this better than Warzone right now? Redte is 100% better than Warzone right now. 1000%. It's refreshing. It's new. It's fun. It feels like I said, this game reminds me of how 2019 felt. The attention to detail, the amount of effort you put into just even the sounds of killing, the sounds of shooting and killing somebody. The little also matters too. Just doing a great job. Like I said, Call of Duty has to find their identity.
Remember when every new COD felt like an event? When you'd rush home from school, log in, and your entire friends list was already online? That culture's gone. Now, hype lasts maybe a day, one trailer drop, a few hours of tweets, then it's old news. Even creators who built careers on COD aren't pushing like they used to. Some pivoted to Battlefield 6, others to Valorant, Apex, or even single-player story games. Because outrage pays once, repetition doesn't. And the players? They're burned out. Not furious, just tired. Tired of patches that promise to fix what the next update breaks. Tired of feeling like every match is a marketing test. Tired of hearing the same back to roots line every fall. So instead of yelling, people just stopped reacting. The most dangerous sound in gaming isn't rage, it's silence. That's what Black Ops 7 is facing. Not hate, not boycott, but apathy. The kind where people still play, still buy skins, but stop caring enough to talk about it. And the worst part, that apathy started inside the community itself. As soon as that minimal SBMM headline broke, COD Twitter turned into a battlefield of its own. On one side, players celebrated, finally, old school lobbies are back. On the other, skeptics snapped, you're falling for marketing again. Threads became arguments became memes, and before long, the whole discussion looked toxic to anyone watching from the outside. Meanwhile, Activision stayed quiet. No corrections, no detailed breakdowns, just silence. And in that silence, people made up their own stories. Some said Treyarch was backpedaling. Others claimed the devs were being muzzled by corporate. Every theory added fuel to a fire that didn't even need to exist. But here's the kicker. Even the creators fueling that fire weren't all wrong. The messaging was confusing, the communication was inconsistent, and the fatigue was real. The entire launch cycle became one giant game of telephone, where each retweet distorted the truth a little more. By the time official channels posted clarifications, everyone had already picked a side. And once a community divides like that, hype doesn't recover. Because hype relies on unity, that feeling of, we're all about to experience something big together. When the audience stops sharing that moment, the excitement dies quietly even before the first match is played. So, let's zoom out. Why did one confusing phrase hit this hard? Because it landed on top of years of exhaustion. The COD player base isn't angry at one blog post, it's reacting to a pattern. Every year follows the same loop. Pre-launch hype, marketing promises, beta disappointment, microtransaction backlash, and finally, burnout. People are sick of living that loop. So when Treyarch announced minimal SBMM, players didn't celebrate or riot, they just muted notifications. That's where Black Ops 7 finds itself. A technically solid game launching into emotional exhaustion. And ironically, that exhaustion might be the one thing that finally forces COD to change. But before that can happen, one more thing needs to collapse, and it's already happening. By the time the blog post was barely a day old, the entire conversation had mutated. Screenshots were everywhere, cropped, blurred and captioned with absolute certainty. Half the internet said SBMM is gone, the other half swore they're lying again. And caught in the middle were the fans who just wanted to know what was true. Creators dropped exposés, each quoting a different version of the same paragraph. Tweets turned into videos, videos turned into TikToks, and suddenly minimal SBMM became the most divisive phrase in gaming. One influencer even joked about it at 3 a.m. A half-asleep tweet that went viral, hitting hundreds of thousands of views. By sunrise, that joke had become proof that Activision changed its policy overnight. Forums lit up. People were canceling pre-orders before breakfast. And the irony? None of it was true. No secret patch, no hidden reversal, just misread words moving faster than the facts. But that's how it works now. One sentence can shape a narrative before the developers even wake up. Misinformation spreads not because people want drama, but because everyone's desperate for clarity. The community doesn't wait for official confirmation anymore. It creates its own. And when that happens, reality loses the race. But the real damage wasn't the rumor itself. It was what the rumor exposed about the state of the fandom.
What year do parents allow their children to play games like Call of Duty? I don't fucking know. I don't have a kid that's even close to that age yet. But every year, a horde of them, a barrage of just little warriors begin to play Call of Duty. That is who they care about. They don't care about you anymore, Chet. On God, they don't give a fuck about you. They know that you on your way out, man. You don't matter. You got to go to work, bro. Chet, you got responsibilities, man. You got kids and a wife and a dog. You got to buy cat food, pay the electricity. They don't care about you. They care about the kids, because the kids are going to play the game a lot more than your dumbass is going to play the game. And they're going to make a lot more money off that kid than they're going to make off you, because that kid is going to find your credit card. And that kid is going to want that fucking Godzilla skin. He's going to want that Predator skin, man. That Alien skin. He's going to want that Family Guy skin. He's going to want all of it. And he's going to spend $29 on that fucking skin.
At its peak, the COD fanbase was built on shared discovery. People would data mine, leak, and speculate, but it was fun. Now it's exhausting. Every time a new feature gets teased, players immediately ask, okay, what's the catch? That's not curiosity, that's fatigue disguised as skepticism. When fans have to interpret every word like a legal document, something's broken. They're not engaging because they love the mystery anymore, they're decoding because they don't trust the message. And that constant decoding kills enjoyment. You can't build hype when your audience is busy fact-checking. So instead of rallying together, the community splinters into camps. The optimists, give them a chance, maybe this year's different. The cynics, it's the same HRT every time. The spectators, I'll wait for reviews. That last group is the largest, and that's what terrifies Activision. Because indifference is contagious. Once people stop rushing to buy day one, others follow. And if the players stop chasing the hype train, the machine stalls. Here's the weirdest twist. Even the algorithm doesn't know what to do with COD anymore. For years, the franchise thrived on outrage loops, hot take videos, SBMM is broken rants, dramatic thumbnails. That drama kept engagement high, and engagement fed visibility. But once the audience stopped reacting, the algorithm stopped recommending. You can actually watch it happen. Major COD creators posting their lowest performing videos in years. Not because the content's worse, but because the viewers have tuned out emotionally. It's the same thing that happened to Fortnite and Apex during their midlife slumps. When a community gets too self-aware, the outrage stops feeling fresh, and the system that once rewarded noise starts punishing silence. COD's marketing used to rely on those creator spikes. Now those spikes are gone, and without them, the entire hype pipeline collapses. But maybe that collapse is exactly what the franchise needs. Think about it. Every major COD revival happened after a low point. When Infinite Warfare flopped, we got World War II. When Ghost burned out, they tried Advanced Warfare. Every failure forced reinvention. Maybe this silence is the same kind of warning shot. It's the audience saying, we're not mad, we're just waiting for proof. And that kind of waiting creates a rare opportunity. A clean slate. If Black Ops 7 actually delivers, if lobbies feel freer, if gameplay feels less manipulated, word of mouth can do what marketing can't. Players trust other players more than they trust trailers. One viral clip of genuine chaos will rebuild more faith than 100 press releases. So, while the pre-launch buzz is dead, the post-launch moment could be explosive. Silence isn't always failure. Sometimes it's suspense. Still, the developers are paying a heavy price. Years of overpromising left a trust deficit that can't be patched overnight. Players remember everything: bad servers, shady bundles, stealth nerfs. That memory turns every announcement into a negotiation. The community's not applauding anymore, it's bargaining. You say minimal SBMM? Fine, but we'll see. You promise persistent lobbies. Okay, but don't backtrack. It's like a relationship where every gift comes with suspicion, and until that trust bank refills, even good news feels like manipulation. That's what people mean when they say, nobody cares. They don't mean the franchise is dead. They mean their emotions are on lockdown, because caring about COD used to feel exciting. Now it feels risky. If we zoom out, the Black Ops 7 situation is a snapshot of modern gaming culture. Hype used to come from discovery. Now it comes from algorithms and leaks. We used to learn about games from trailers. Now we learn from controversies. Developers craft roadmaps, but the audience dictates the narrative. And Activision isn't alone. Every major studio is fighting the same battle. Battlefield got roasted for not learning from 2042. Halo's community shrank after endless delays. Even live service giants like Destiny 2 are struggling to keep passion alive. Players are smarter, more skeptical, and less forgiving. That's not toxicity, that's evolution. They've seen enough rug pulls to know excitement without proof is a trap. So when COD tries to sell minimal SBMM as revolution, the response isn't hate, it's a collective. Show me. And honestly, that's healthy, because blind loyalty is easy, but demanding better, that's how franchises survive. So here's what Black Ops 7 has to do. Not PR talk, actual deliverables. Make the lobbies unpredictable again. Players crave that mix of casual chaos and skill challenge. If they can feel the difference in their first few matches, word of mouth will explode. Keep the lobbies together. Persistent lobbies can rebuild community. Let players rematch, trash talk, form rivalries. That nostalgia is powerful. Transparency over spin. If something changes, say it clearly. Stop letting creators become the translators. Reward fun, not grind. The audience is too old and too busy for meaningless progression walls. Stop fighting the fans. COD's biggest strength has always been its community. Listen to them before they move on. If Activision nails even half of that, the silence we're hearing right now turns into curiosity. And curiosity is the first spark of hype's comeback. But if nothing changes, if SBMM still feels identical, if lobbies still break every match, if monetization still overshadows gameplay, then this silence becomes permanent. Because this time, players won't rage quit. They'll just quietly disappear. No trending hashtags, no viral meltdowns, just a slow fade into other games. And that's the scariest outcome for any billion-dollar franchise. Not rebellion, but boredom. The COD name doesn't guarantee immortality anymore. It guarantees a trial. Every release is a test to prove it still deserves the spotlight. Yet there's something oddly hopeful about all this. The fact that people still argue, still tweet, still dissect every line, means there's passion left under the fatigue. If they truly didn't care, nobody would bother decoding blog posts at 2 a.m. That obsession, the same one that fuels the chaos, is proof that COD's story isn't over. It's just entering its most honest chapter yet. No manufactured hype, no blind faith. Just players saying, show us what you've got. And if Black Ops 7 can rise to that challenge, this quiet moment could be remembered as the calm before a real comeback. So maybe the real headline isn't nobody cares about COD. Maybe it's COD finally ran out of excuses. For the first time in years, the conversation isn't about trailers or cosmetics, it's about trust. That's a painful place to be, but it's also the only way forward, because when hype dies, honesty gets a chance to breathe. And if Activision can turn that honesty into action, Black Ops 7 might be remembered not as the flop that ended an era, but the reset that saved one. What do you think? Did Activision finally listen? Or is this just another case of clever wording and recycled promises? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. And if you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and tell me whether you're picking up Black Ops 7 on launch day or sitting this one out. Either way, it's going to be an interesting week. See you in the lobbies.